You have to get rid of the categories and just go, let's just have people of different backgrounds. The more they bring to the table, the wiser the totality of the group becomes. When I walk into a room, I just see people. It's like, I seriously don't pay attention to difference per se. I just take it as we're all humans here, so let's get on with the work.
How are you going to design the best product or design the best marketing journey? We now know we need to have diversity on the panel.
It's quite obvious how different decisions are made when different brains are working together. The more people you have of different backgrounds, the higher your chances to create something fantastic.
When I speak to people that are having the most impact in this space, it's chuck everything else away. It's all about us being totally equal and bringing as many diverse groups as possible into these conversations to drive the change that we need. Hey guys, welcome back to Marketing in the Madness. Now, today's episode is one of my favourite episodes. Well, all my episodes are brilliant, but these are some of my favourite because these focus on, or today's episode focuses on, how to help women get ahead in the world of work. And if you haven't heard last week's episode, I had the lovely Heidrun on. Heidrun and I were talking last week about marketing and innovation and really how to drive that commercial growth within business using marketing. But today, we're going to talk about how businesses can drive growth by creating total equity for everyone, regardless of sex, race, etc. So, Heidrun, I know similarly to me, we're very passionate about marketing, but also very passionate about this because I think what we spoke about last week was around innovation. Mm-hmm. And in order to drive innovation, you've got to think differently, you've got to try new things, you've got to be brave. But I truly also think another thing that drives innovation is creating fairer workspaces where you have more diversity across the business.
Absolutely.
Because, with that drives better ideas. So obviously you've worked in a lot of different businesses from the financial sector. So for those of you that didn't listen to last week's episode, Heidrun's head up marketing at some awesome brands from places like, I'm going to try and name some of the brands now, David Lloyd, which is where we met, Pipe Drive, Le Creuset.
Yeah,
am I saying it right? Yes. But
IG.
Also, IG. So some big financial institutions, which is where I guess in my head could be more male dominated sometimes. So tell me about your views on this subject and how you think we can really drive change.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, different industries obviously have, slightly different profiles because rightly or wrongly, they draw, different people. All industries go obviously with time through, different phases and trends, etc. But if, you mentioned the financial industry and IG at the time, fintech, I mean, you bring really the two pieces together, technology and finances, and you have a lot of men.
Yeah, full stop.
In the room. Funnily enough, though, and this tells you a little bit probably about myself and how I see the whole topic, on diversity is I remember, I must have already worked there for at least a year. And there was a video production of a female leader being interviewed and, different questions asked. And one of the questions was how she feels about, working in such a, male-dominated space. And she said, every time I walk into a meeting room, I am 100% aware that I'm quite often the only woman in the room. And as she said that, I sat back and I'm like, oh, I'm the only woman in the room? I never realized. Because when I walk into a room, I just see people.
Yeah.
It's like, I seriously don't pay attention to difference per se because I just take it as, well, we're all humans here, so let's get on with the work, right? And let's all chip our ideas in. But it really kind of made me aware that other people feel very differently about it, and they're very aware of it. And what it does to them. Does it give them now a feeling of power or a feeling special? Does it give them a feeling of feeling intimidated and not quite in the right place? Either way, it's not equal, is it? Mm. And I am a big fan of driving diversity across teams. And diversity means the whole spectrum of diversity. So this is gender, this is race, this is cultural background, it's educational background, it's age, it's, disability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's everything. Because it's quite obvious of how different decisions are made when different brains are working together. What you don't know, you can't act on. So to give an example, I listened to that the other day when the iPhone was kind of created and the sizes of iPhones were tested and whatnot. Well, the most participants in the test group were men. They have different sizes of hands. So decisions were made about the size, and then it comes into consumers' hands, and all of a sudden, people with smaller hands find it really difficult to actually, do this. So the lack of diversity in the product team, the testing team, led to a product that by all means is fantastic, but it has a flaw. And so what you don't know, you don't think about, you can't fix, you can't get better, right? And therefore, the more people you have of different backgrounds of all types, and you do brainstorming or you look at a problem together, the higher your chances to create something fantastic.
Yeah, I love that, Heidrun. It's such an important point that I think is sometimes overlooked. And it goes into product design, it goes into marketing. If you don't have, like you say, different people with different experiences, different use cases, testing a product, developing a go-to-market strategy, how are you going to design the best product or design the best marketing journey? Same goes for, one thing that I have, I guess, noticed over time is, you can, and us women probably say it now, it's like, oh, you can tell a man designed that, because we behave, let's say in store, very differently to how a man might. But often, traditionally 10, 20, 30 years ago, probably most of the in-store journeys, architects and, I don't know, in-store designers or online retail, journeys were designed by men, but actually it's us women doing the most of the shopping. So I think there's been a huge, that's one example of many, but I think there's been some huge advancements in that. Like we now know, we need to have diversity on the panel, but also we need to have, people that are doing the doing on the, but also people that are not, because we want to think about new things. So I think for me, that's been incredibly important to see, and you can start to see the better journeys that are being designed for us across every product, marketing, in-store, whatever it might be.
I would even take that a little bit further and say, it's not only to have diversity in terms of, okay, I now have equal amount of men versus women and different ages and different cultural backgrounds, et cetera. You have to understand that whilst you and I are women, we're very different to one another.
Yeah.
So, so therefore there isn't just that's the way women do it, or that's the way, men do it, or that's the way an old person would do it. You have to get rid of the categories and just go, let's just have people of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And let them work together. And the more they bring to the table, the wiser the totality of the group becomes, and the better the outcome is. So it's almost kind of really getting rid of, the categories.
Yeah, I love that. I think, like you say, and when I speak to people that are having the most impact in this space, it really is all about that. It's chuck everything else away. It's all about us being totally equal and bringing as many diverse groups as possible into these conversations to drive the change that we need. Heidrun, it's a very short episode today because we're going to run out of time in the studio. But a big thank you for joining me again. It's been fantastic to unpack some of this with you. Again, I could have spoken to you for so much longer, but really appreciate your views. And I think there's going to be some really helpful, directional content that we've created today that will really help people.
Super. Thank you so much. It was great.